Scouts Victoria respectfully acknowledges the traditional custodians of the country throughout Victoria where our activities take place today. We pay our respects to elders both past, present and emerging, and continue to recognise and embrace the important continuous history and connection to land and community of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders people.
Hi, so welcome everyone to Scout Quest. So I'm Zoe from Boston Hills Rover Unit, and we're here to have a special, we have a special event for everyone, and we're going to introduce Robert Irwin. We're going to enjoy some Queensland rain, unfortunately, today, but he will introduce us to some of his favourite animals at Australia Zoo and share some fun facts and update us on some conservation projects that we can all join. We will also have questions at the end, so if you can pop them in the chat, and we will go and come back and read them and cover as many of them as we can.
G'day! Is this me? Hello, how's it going, guys? How are ya? Well, it's Robert here from Australia Zoo, and as you said, yes, it is a very lovely rainy day, but that's not going to stop us. We've got some awesome animals lined up for you guys to meet. I'm so excited to talk to you. I've actually gotten to be involved with Scouts for a very long time. A lot of work with Scouts Queensland and now with you guys down in Victoria, and I absolutely love everything that you guys are doing for wildlife, for nature, and to get out and have a good time. I know it's a bit of a weird time at the moment for the whole world, and for you guys down there it's a little hard. Everyone's kind of in lockdown, but I thought it'd be fun to virtually give you guys a bit of a wildlife experience with some of my favourite animals at Australia Zoo. So as you'd probably know, Australia Zoo, we're on the Sunshine Coast. We've got about 1,200 animals all up that we house here, from reptiles to beautiful Australian wildlife, all the way to tigers and giraffes and some more exotic animals as well. And we absolutely love what we get to do here, and it's really all about conservation. So without further ado, let's meet some animals. What do you reckon? There you go. Hello. Now this little guy here is Harvey. Now feel free at the end to remember these little guys, and if you have any questions, be sure to fire away. Harvey is a little tiny swamp wallaby. Isn't he just gorgeous? He's got the cutest little face. You're just beautiful. Yeah. Now, at Australia Zoo, not only do we have so many amazing animals, but really it's about conservation. So being able to breed these guys, rescue and rehabilitate them, it's really all about helping native wildlife here in Australia. So this guy is very, very special. He's still quite young. He's got quite a bit of growing to do. Swamp wallabies, it'll get a lot bigger than this. And these guys are marsupials. They're a macropod, like kangaroos and all the other wallabies. So that means that their little babies actually grow up in a pouch. When these guys are first born, they're about this big. They're about the size of a jelly bean. That big. They're tiny. And they grow up in their mother's pouch. They get bigger and bigger and stronger. And then eventually they get up to Harvey's size, where he's actually starting to roam around, out and about, enjoying life. He's just beautiful. We love you very much. You're so cute. Now, Australia Zoo, we've actually also got a wildlife hospital that was opened way back in 2004. And it's designed to help rehabilitate orphaned, injured, sick animals from all over our local area here. So we'll take in animals like Harvey, like these little guys that need that round-the-clock care. And we always have the aim of releasing them back out into the wild. Isn't he just precious? You're so cute. Oh, I just love him. He's adorable. Hey, mate. I think as Australians, we're very lucky to have so many unusual animals here. I mean, marsupials, they are so iconically Australian, and they're just awesome. All right, well, that's Harvey. Hope you enjoyed meeting him. I'm going to get the next animal in. Thank you, Becky Jo.
You're welcome.
Now, this next guy is probably the cheekiest animal in the whole zoo. Ocker, I love him. Hello, Ocker. Hello, big boy. He's looking at... So yesterday, I had to do some work with a lace monitor, a massive goanna here, and he completely clawed up my arm, which Ocker is helping heal me. Thank you, Ocker. Thank you very much. Now, Ocker here is a sulfur-crested cockatoo. These guys are just amazing. They are incredibly intelligent, yes, and he's very, very pretty, and he knows it. Yes, good boy, Ocker. Good job, mate. Ocker is just hilarious. These guys are like little people. They really respond to individuals and they all have their own little personalities. Yes, you do, Ocker, you do. And this guy is so full of character, so full of personality. We absolutely love him. Now, you guys may have seen cockatoos before. They have quite a wide distribution throughout Australia, and they're just a really classic, iconic Australian animal with a very iconic call as well. They're not exactly quiet. Well, we love them. They're very cute. Aren't you special? Yes, Ocker. You're very cool. We love you, mate. We do. What do you reckon? You wave hi to everyone in there? What do you think? Good boy, Ocker. Hey. He's just gorgeous. And these incredible head feathers like that, you can see he can actually splay it out like a little hat like that. And that's him just sort of being really chuffed with himself. When he's happy and content and wants to show off a little bit, he can open up those amazing head feathers. They're just amazing. You are so pretty, Ocker. I love you. Yeah. Aren't you gorgeous? All right, good boy, Ocker. That was great.
Good.
Good job, mate. All right. Now, this is my favorite group of animals. This isn't an Australian animal. We're going to be traveling over to the United States for this next one. We have got, who's this?
Oberon.
Oberon. This guy here is Oberon the alligator. Now, Oberon the alligator, he's an American alligator. You all right, mate? You all right? He's having a bit of a struggle. You're all right, dude. You're all right. Oh, there we go. Now, the interesting thing with gators is they're actually, even though they're a lot smaller than saltwater crocs, you good now, mate? There we go. Now he's good. They're just as strong. These guys have more of a kind of mechanical strength. Crocs are very hard-hitting, really fast, intelligent, and they'll wait in ambush and strike. Whereas with these guys, they're not quite as aggressive. They're not quite as likely to jump out and strike, but they're still super strong. The difference between crocodile and an alligator is, first of all, their distribution. These guys are not found here in Australia. They're found in the United States, throughout Florida, Mississippi, Texas, all the southern states in the United States. They also have a very different look about them as well. They're a lot smaller than crocs. The largest largest saltwater croc rather, was measured in at over 20 feet long, which is just massive. Whereas these guys, they wouldn't be reaching lengths up and over 14 feet very often out in the wild. Every now and again, you might get one that's a little bigger, but they usually max out around 12 to 14 foot. Now, these guys, their demeanor is very different too. My dad used to call them frogs with sharp teeth, because that's exactly what they are. They have the sweetest personality. They're a little bit more cruisy, and when it comes to food, they can be a little bit silly at times. Whenever you feed these guys, it doesn't matter what's next to their head, whether it's a leaf or a piece of grass, they'll just try and eat it. They're just hilarious. I absolutely love alligators. Aren't they cute? You can see they have very high set eyes as well. And at the end of his snout, oh, he's going to have another little go. At the end of his snout, it comes to that. You're all right, big boy. You're all right, mate. You're all right. There you go. At the end of his snout, you can see it comes to that nice U shape. Whereas a crocodile, it's a lot more triangular and a lot more elongated. Now, being a crocodilian, they are cold-blooded. So they're actually ectotherms. That means that they rely on the sun and the warm weather to warm them up and get them going. So usually the warmer it is, it's a pretty nice humid day today, the more active they are too. Now, we actually have the longest running crocodilian research study in the entire world, not with alligators, but with their close relatives, the saltwater crocs. And we've been studying them for many, many years, decades in fact. It was originally started by my dad, and we're learning so much about them. We found out that the saltwater croc can hold its breath, forget this, 7 hours. 7 hours straight. They're incredible mothers, very protective of their eggs. They'll travel really long distances. The big males will hold established territories. We're even finding out with isotope research who's related to who. So on the river system where we trap these crocs, the Wenlock River up in Northern Australia, we can see whose offspring is related to who's the grandfather of the crocodiles. We can kind of build a bit of a family tree of these guys. And it's now, as I said, the longest running telemetry study of any crocodilian and the longest running of any individual animal in the entire world. It's pretty amazing. I just love these guys. I could talk all day about crocodilians. They're very cool. All right. Now, for this next one, this is going to be a little bit more interesting. Okay, here we go. Feeling strong. Thank you. Who we got here?
This is Monty.
Monty. Oh, you are gorgeous, Monty. Hey, big boy, let's get you wrapped around here. Now, Monty is a massive Burmese python. Isn't he? Oh, all right. Isn't he amazing? So the Burmese python, this is one of the largest snakes in the entire world. How cool is he? He's going to rip my earpiece out, so I won't be able to hear you, but you can still hear me. Look at that. So you can see how he's using that forked tongue there. That's how he smells. He can pick up scent particles in the air and determine a possible predator, a possible meal. It's just remarkable. Now, Monty here, he's not venomous, being a python. He's actually a constrictor. So that means when he grabs an animal, hopefully not me in a second, when he grabs an animal, what he'll do, he'll grab it with those beautiful, long, sharp teeth, and then he'll instantly coil around it. They're incredibly strong. He's going to try and climb the gazebo we've got here. They're incredibly strong. They'll wrap, and they'll actually asphyxiate that animal. So as that animal breathes in and out, they just constantly squeeze tighter and tighter and tighter until the animal dies, and then they eat it. It's just remarkable. And even though he's got a fairly small head, he can actually articulate his jaw in 6 different places on each side and open it up incredibly wide. So he could eat something a lot thicker than himself with ease. How cool is that? I just love him. Good boy, Monty. He's going to give you guys a little kiss. That was awesome. Isn't he just beautiful? I love that coloration that he's got there as well. Just gorgeous. These guys are just a remarkable snake. That's awesome. All right. Good boy, Monty. I'll pass you over there. Thank you. He's got me good. This is a bit awkward. Let's see how we go here. There you go. That was awesome. Good job. There's my brother-in-law, Chandler, getting in there and helping. And Harry, good on you. It usually takes at least one person to wrangle one of those big snakes. That's so good. Oh, I'm working up a sweat here. All right. I think this is our last animal, isn't it? All right. So last but not least, we've saved the best for last, going from giant snakes to something a lot more cute and cuddly. Come on in. Is this Brandy? It is. I love Brandy. Hello, Brandy. Now, Brandy is, of course, a koala. Do you want to say hi, Brandy? Isn't she beautiful? Now, koalas are, I would say, probably the most famous, iconic Australian animals and probably one of the most loved animals in the entire world. But unfortunately, koalas are actually having a fairly tough time out in the wild. Their numbers are decreasing, and that's all because of habitat loss. Koalas are heading towards the endangered status in a lot of their range, and the recent bushfires that we saw really devastated a lot of their habitat. We lost, as you know, millions of acres and actually billions of individual animals, including a lot of koalas. So now it's very important that we really start a wider discussion about preserving the habitat that they have left. Because as our population grows, as that urbanization occurs and we build more towns, cities, roads, these guys really feel the effects. So not only do we see habitat destruction, but also that human-koala conflict. At our wildlife hospital, we've taken in 95,000 animals now, actually, and a lot of them are koalas. We really specialize in these beautiful animals. And unfortunately, very, very sad to see that these guys are hit by cars, they're attacked by domestic animals. Disease is another big factor. And a lot of that, I think, is due to the fact that there's just not enough room. You know, there's not these beautiful big tracts of land like we used to have. They're very isolated to little islands. And so it's really important that we all, particularly you guys, young people, are starting a big discussion about the protection of wildlife and all of our beautiful native Australian animals, because we can't lose these guys. They're just too cute. Oh, I love you, Brandy. Brandy is, I think, my favourite koala at the zoo. You're not supposed to have favourites, but she's definitely mine. Isn't she? Isn't she gorgeous? Aw. And have a look. One interesting thing that you might not have seen. See how she's grabbing onto my shoulder there? Notice how she has 2 thumbs. Isn't that crazy? You might not have known that. Koalas actually have 2 thumbs, and that helps them to grip onto branches and trees. They're remarkable climbers. Just amazing. Oh, well, that was awesome. Thank you, Brandy. There you go. And when the world opens back up again and you guys can come up to Queensland, you've got to come and give Brandy a little cuddle. She's just precious. She's awesome. Well, you know what I might do? I might put my earpiece back in because Monty the snake ripped it out. Give me 1 second. Here we go. Okay, I'm back. So those are just a few of our beautiful animals that we have at Australia Zoo. I hope you enjoyed meeting them all. There are so many animals, and the awesome thing is each of them really have their own individual personalities. So not only do they kind of have those tendencies as a species, but each animal is a little bit different, responds to everyone differently, and it's really special having grown up here at Australia Zoo. You get to know how it's almost like an extended human family, this beautiful family of animals. It's just awesome. And our conservation work, I think we're very lucky, even in this crazy COVID time, it's been able to continue, and we've got about 500,000 acres of beautiful, pristine habitat that we protect, our wildlife hospital, global conservation work. So we're able to really keep all of this going, even in this really hard time. But I wanted to ask you guys if you have any questions at all about anything that we're doing with conservation, anything at the zoo, our family, any of the animals you've seen. Go for it. It's your time. Ooh, I'm getting hot after that snake.
Okay, so what's the difference between a thumb and a finger?
What's
Is
the
it just
difference between
shorter?
a thumb and a finger? Oh, okay, this is a very good question. Now, ooh, you're going to stump me on this one. Well, I'm not sure the exact science behind it, but I believe it's to do with how it's skeletally attached to your hand. I think that opposable thumbs are kind of different for each species and different for each animal. So I'm not exactly sure the specifics on how that works skeletally in every animal, but I know that you might have to ask a doctor about that one. They definitely know what the exact science is behind it. But yeah, koalas, they've got the 2 thumbs on one side, and then they've kind of got the fingers and thumbs there, so they can have sort of more distribution to be able to grab and grasp onto branches. It's a really good question, though. I know in relation to koalas, but not on a broad scale.
So Lisa's asking how many koalas survived the bushfires?
How many koalas survived the bushfires? That's a very good question. It's hard to know exact numbers for how many were lost, but a good example of numbers of koalas that survived the bushfires is down on Kangaroo Island. Kangaroo Island in South Australia was one of the hardest hit regions during the fires. We actually sent teams down there from our Australia Zoo Wildlife Hospital to lend aid and support, and it was quite devastating. I mean, the incredible work that was being done down there by the army, by different organizations. I mean, we took in hundreds of koalas out of the fires. Those are the 600-700 really lucky ones that lived, but out of the 50,000 koalas that I believe they had on the island, it looks like only about 10,000 survived. I believe that's the statistic. So you can imagine if that's in one small concentrated area that had a very healthy population of koalas, for the rest of the country, that definitely makes a huge difference. And it's not only the number of koalas that were killed in the fires, but also that knock-on effect, because koalas need nice, big, old growth eucalyptus to survive. The really big, beautiful, tall trees, that's what they need. And when those are burnt, that's going to take 30 years plus to recover. So it has a very, very vast knock-on effect for these guys, not only directly from the fires, but into the future. And that's something we're working on, is to support the efforts treating koalas and also revegetate these areas and look at setting aside more habitat to protect these guys.
Sweet.
Anyone else?
So Ava's got a question of how big and old is your largest crocodile?
How big and old is our largest croc? Ooh, good question. Okay, the biggest croc that we have at the zoo, we actually have no idea how old he is, but his name is Akko, and he was originally rescued about 40 years ago by my dad. He was in a very compromised situation out in the wild. He was a problem croc, which means he was coming a little bit too close to people and eating people's cows, which people don't really like. And he was actually going to get shot or removed and completely culled out of the system. So Dad went in there and decided, right, I've got to rescue this guy. I can't see him killed. It was really sad because he's this beautiful big male that's been there his whole life. But Dad knew that if he didn't get him out, there'd be no future for him there. So he spent 2 years trying to catch this one croc and went through a pretty crazy time, but eventually caught this beautiful big croc, took him back to Australia Zoo, built a beautiful, massive earth pond for him, and kind of built a new territory for him to live completely happy and healthy with no risk of being hunted. And he still lives at Australia Zoo to this day. He's over 16 feet in length when he was caught, and that was 40 years ago. So we haven't laid a hand on him since. We just want to let him do his own thing and live a stress-free life. But he was over 16 feet when we caught him. So you can imagine he's a lot bigger now. To give you an idea, if you go, so pretend here's you guys there, he'd be what, 5.5 meters. So let's walk this out. 1, 2, 3. That from you to me, that's how big he is. That's just him in length. He's massive. He's a crazy, crazy croc. He's just awesome. And he's kind of like this old grandfather crocodile. You go in with him and he's just really exudes power. It's amazing. So he could be 70 years, 80 years, who knows for sure. But he's probably a really big, beautiful old dinosaur. That's the thing about saltwater crocs. We don't actually know exactly how long they live, but it's probably as long, if not longer, than people do. It's pretty cool.
Indeed. So
awesome.
Lucy wants to know what the biggest animal at the zoo is. So is it a croc or is it something else?
Oh, okay, yeah, the biggest animal at Australia Zoo. Yeah, well, Akko he's probably the longest, probably at 16 foot. But the biggest by weight would be, I think it's actually still DJ the rhino. We just got 4 amazing Sumatran elephants into Australia Zoo. I would have shown you them today, but they're kind of hard to carry. So that probably wouldn't work. But we've got 4 beautiful Sumatran elephants that are massive, just incredible. But our big rhino, I believe, still holds the record for the heaviest animal at Australia Zoo. And he's well over 2 tons. So he's a very, very big boy. But DJ is just like a puppy dog. He's the sweetest rhino in the world. You can just walk up to him and give him a scratch, give him a pat. He just loves it. Yeah, he's awesome.
Okay, so 00 Blue Build wants to know, what is life like growing up at a zoo?
What's it like growing up at a zoo? Oh, it's awesome. In a word, awesome. I think the amazing thing about growing up in a zoo is that every day is so completely different from the last. And growing up, I've gotten to have the most amazing upbringing, just surrounded by animals. And, you know, we still live right in the middle of Australia Zoo, literally right on zoo ground. So the tigers are on one side of our house, the crocs are on the other. So in the morning, you're woken up by the tigers roaring, and it just never gets old. It really doesn't. It's sort of, in a way, kind of becomes your normal, and it's just sort of what life's been like for me. But there's still those moments that you wake up and you just pinch yourself. It's just awesome. And I think that for me, it's a real privilege getting to share this place with everyone. It feels like home, and it feels almost even more like home when I see people coming into the zoo and getting to share our beautiful animals, seeing our incredible keepers going out every day to spread the conservation message. It's just awesome. When we were shut down, we were in a really tight state of lockdown, as everyone was, and so much of the world still is. The zoo had to shut for 78 days. Who's counting? 78 days. And it was a really, really hard time. But when we opened back up again, and you see these little kids coming in and, you know, hugging on koalas and kangaroos and having the best time. That was really one of the most poignant moments in my whole life that kind of made me go, whoa, this is why we do what we do. I think it's not until we shut for that period that we realize just how important it is having places like this, people to spread that conservation message and give that really nice kind of hands-on experience with wildlife. And Australia Zoo, that's what we're all about.
So Celeste is asking how many animals has Australia Zoo saved, which I think is a pretty big question, but
it is. That's a really big question. Yeah. That's kind of a hard one to answer because there's so many projects that we have that have sort of directly and indirectly helped millions of animals. At our wildlife hospital, we can really see really intricate figures. So we've taken in 95,000 animals, and every year we get about 7,000 to 8,000 different animals. We've taken in thousands of koalas, lots of birds, hundreds of sea turtles every year. So that's a really rewarding experience. Being able to go out, rescue an animal, take it in, could be in care for months, get it back well enough to be released back out into the wild. It's just amazing. But then also with our conservation work on a global scale, we've got a lot of different projects. From tiger conservation in Sumatra, we've actually got this amazing project that we support, which is an anti-poaching unit that goes out to dismantle illegal tiger traps and snares and help tigers. And for the first time in many, many years, we're seeing an increase, a very, very small increase, but an increase in tiger numbers, in Sumatran tiger numbers. So it's really, really special to see that. We've also got a rhino conservation initiative happening in Kenya, which is amazing. The Old Pejeta Reserve goes out and really works on anti-poaching as well, and helping the last really big, healthy stronghold of black rhinos. We have cheetah conservation also in Africa. That's a really interesting one where we actually support these amazing Anatolian shepherds, these dogs that are with farmers out in Africa that protect the livestock from cheetahs and other big cats that might eat them. And by doing that, the farmers no longer have to go out and kill the cheetahs because they're eating their livestock. They have these dogs that'll go out, bark at them, chase them away, and then the cheetahs are disrupted. They don't eat the livestock. They eat what they naturally eat, and the farmers don't kill them anymore. So there's a lot of really interesting ways that we've been able to support so many projects all around the world, doing really innovative things and coming up with amazing ways of protecting wildlife. So directly at Australia Zoo and our wildlife hospital, we've rescued and rehabilitated 95,000 animals. And our conservation properties, we've got millions upon millions of animals that are protected in these areas. And through our global conservation work, countless animals that have been saved. So it's a very rewarding job. And it's also really nice because it's something that you guys can help out with as well. Wildlife Warriors is our non-profit organization, and we actually have the Visionary Wildlife Warriors program for youth to get involved. So you can head to wildlifewarriors.org to check that out and become involved in this really amazing work that we're doing. It's pretty special.
Unfortunately, this is our last question for today, but Liam would want to know how many people work at Australia Zoo and how do you get a job there?
Oh, okay. Good question, Liam. That's a very good question. Yes. Well, at Australia Zoo, we have almost 400 team members that are part of the zoo. So it's massive. It's like a little community, a little city here at Australia Zoo. And we honestly have the most incredible team. We have an amazing, amazing team. Every single day, whether it's the keeping staff, the staff that are out doing education talks, or even the people behind the scenes doing everything from accounting to photography to horticulture to construction to taking calls from people all over the world asking about wildlife conservation. Our team really does an amazing job of keeping Australia Zoo beautiful, keeping guests coming in here and having a great time and having an awesome day. And also, every team member really works for that global conservation that we strive for. And it's really an amazing place to grow up, not only amongst these incredible animals, but amongst our family, which is 400 strong. It's pretty awesome. I've got a great extended family and and a really awesome team. So Liam, yes. Well, you can start volunteering at Australia Zoo at age 14. So I started feeding crocs when I was 10. So you're good to go. Definitely. Yeah, why not? But yeah, you can head to our volunteer program and kind of get a foot in the door to start working at the zoo and also at our wildlife hospital as well. Yeah.
Cool. So thank you so much for sharing Australia Zoo and the animals with us today. It was super inspiring to hear everything that you're doing with your family for conservation, and with that your extended family as well. Scouts care so much for the environment, and hopefully we can help you from Victoria.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. It's been an honor to talk to all of you today, and honestly, it's really, really awesome that you guys are so passionate about your community, your environment, the world around you. And we need so many more young people like you guys that are making a difference in the world. So thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay strong. It's a really wacky time that we're all living through. It's just frustrating. It's really tough, but we'll get through it, and we'll be 10 times stronger on the other side of this. So it'll be all good. And when the world opens back up again, I will see each and every one of you at Australia Zoo. But in the meantime, head to wildlifewarriors.org. You can register your interest for next year for the Visionary Wildlife Warrior program. And thank you so much for everything that you guys are doing. You guys are true wildlife warriors, and it gives me so much hope as well. So I'm sending a big left-handed handshake to all of you right now, or I guess an left-handed elbow bump, because we're not allowed to handshake. Thanks so much, guys. Lots of love from the zoo.
So thanks to Robert for all of that. So we'll definitely check out Wildlife Warriors today. Before we finish, I've just noticed that our Chief Commissioner has been watching all along. So Rod, how good was that?
Yeah, thanks, Zoe. That was absolutely amazing. Thank you for hosting us this afternoon. Fantastic presentation from Robert. Like so many of us in Victoria, I was excited about today. Robert and family are a wildlife legend and inspiration. And I guess we're all a tiny bit envious that they're in the great outdoors with all those amazing sounds that we could hear in the background, and no doubt the smells, and you can see the humidity, and that's just fantastic. I was really pleased he sent us down some Queensland warmth and good wishes in Victoria, and he showed some special animal friends. I think Scouts in Australia Zoo, as Robert said, have a lot in common with our approach to sustainability, caring for our environment. And I could see from the chat there was lots of questions and comments about conservation and how he's continued and the zoo has continued to save wildlife. So, I expect that they're going to have a lot of Victorian Scout visitors now wanting to visit the Australian Zoo once the borders are opened. And hopefully, you guys get onto this good environment project, get onto the Wildlife Warriors. Thanks very much for setting this up, guys.
Thank you so much, Rod. So yeah, wow, what a day. So tomorrow we have at 1 p.m. Scout Quest will be back to talk about mental health and well-being that's aimed at youth, and it's presented by Black Dog. Everyone is welcome, and if you don't have the link, please private message us and we will send it to you. But before we go, I'd love to play a video that shows everyone more about the Wildlife Warriors.
Crikey! Are you a kid who's passionate about wildlife conservation? Then Wildlife Warriors needs your help. Register today to become a visionary wildlife warrior just like Robert Irwin. Complete conservation missions while protecting our wildlife and wild places. What are you waiting for? Believe in your strength to change the world and head to wildlifewarriors.org.au. Woohoo!